Okay, Karl, hi. We're sitting here in the IBM cafe in London, and I met you recently at an IBM event that was the launch of the Business Analytics Centre that was here, and Lord Mandelson came along to open it. But after chatting to you a bit, and especially on Twitter, it clearly looked as if you're using a lot of social media technologies to connect IBM people together. So how are you using some of these social media technologies to connect IBM and possibly external people together then?
Okay, I work in workforce and field enablement, which most people would think of as internal communications. So, as you mentioned, it was an external event, but we spend a lot of our time sort of encouraging employees to use social media to express themselves and not represent the business, but express themselves to people outside of the business. So we give a more human face to to IBM. We use we use a lot of social media inside and outside. You've seen from our blogs and Twitter and things like that. We're sort of all over the place, and we're quite happy to let people play around on these sort of things and find value as they see within sort of the social computing guidelines which we've outlined for people to follow.
Okay. So do you have any specific tools that you use in your job then? Because you mentioned a few of the publicly available tools there, but do you have anything specific, or are people at different levels of adoption within the company even?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own rate of change, and these things are fairly new. We have a number of different platforms. We have a thing called Media Library, which hosts a lot of our podcasts and videos, which are user created, so they're created by IBMers, not by communications or management or anything like that, although some of them are. And we've had 11 million downloads on that platform. We have something like 100,000 wikis on Wiki Central, which was basically a way of cutting down the number of intranet sites we had. We had several thousand intranet sites many years ago, and we sort of culled those and allowed people to have a space which they could use to communicate with their teams, with their colleagues, project teams, whatever. And that's really been a roaring success, and just about everybody in IBM has accessed or edited a page in Wiki Central. Mm-hmm. We also have Lotus Connections, which most people will know, Enterprise 2.0 style platform, which we have internally as well. I mean, I use that on a sort of day-to-day basis, things like activities, just my to-do list, working on projects with people. It's a great way to share information. Also things like Files and Cattail, which is another file sharing service we've had internally. Unbelievable success, because people can see the benefits straight away. They can see that it's much quicker than emailing, and they can, there's chance encounters with people, and they see presentations and things lying around on something like Cattail or Files. People say, "Oh, this is really useful. Can I use this in my presentation tomorrow or something? I want to show this to a client." So those sort of things build up over time. Your recognition as somebody who creates content grows, IBM's opportunities increase, and generally sort of the productivity as well goes up, because people are finding new ways in connecting with each other, which they never would have done before. Picking up the phone to somebody on the other side of the world is not the sort of thing you do every day.
Yeah.
But if you see a file on Cattail or on Lotus Connections, then you see it. You're going to leave a comment with the guy and say, "This is a fantastic piece of work. I want to use it." And this happens every day.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, you mentioned that about connecting different people together, because a lot of managers and executives have been very critical of social media, as social networking, feeling that a lot of that networking is a waste of time. And we've seen companies all over the place just clamp down, blocking access to a lot of these tools. So why does IBM clearly promotes the use of these tools and this kind of connectivity? So why is IBM taking such a sort of really positive stand?
Yeah, I think if you go back to sort of the early days, like e-business, then we said things like, we don't know what it's all about, but we think there's value in it. Go and find what the value is. And I think for IBM as very inquisitive type of people, we've got lots of clever people here, and they're very keen on going out there and just trying things out. And they know what they can and can't do and how to behave, and in sort of public spaces. And they'll go out there and it's amazing the sort of things they'll come up with, and it's not the sort of thing you can come up with in a strategy plan of this is what we're going to do on social networking and social computing. Things just happen, and lots of things have happened. We see things like with Andy Stanford Clark, the stories that come out and sort of the opportunities that he's found. He's just one example of the people that have gained value from social networking, not just from using it as connecting with people, actually using it as a tool to help companies with their in their business plans. So there's lots of different ways of connecting with people.
Okay, so if you were going to say, pick out one or two key benefits of using social media tools in this way to connect, maybe especially an international team together, then what would you say are the key benefits?
I've worked on quite a few global projects at the moment, and it's really useful not having to have emails sent constantly from a large group of people, using a space which is more social and you can edit yourself type of thing. And also you're finding people all the time just through coincidence and serendipity. Just now I was just saying, I'm getting a new PC upgrade, and somebody said, use this once you get your PC, and he's given me this activity which has got all the things I need to do to install all the software, a checklist of stuff which he's created, and he's got a bunch of other people there which are building it, so we can all manage this whole checklist of stuff, and it's fantastic because instead of everybody creating a checklist, we've got one checklist now, and we can all use that every time we upgrade a PC, which it's taking 4 years, but there's simple things like that. So it's not a waste of time. I think you need downtime as well. You need to use these times, get to know people, and we've used things like Beehive, which is now I think of Social Blue. Getting to know those people in your team, you don't necessarily stay in the same location, so you don't have that chance to socialise, and a chance to socialise, say within the firewall as well as outside. It's very helpful binding the project teams together and binding colleagues, getting to know each other and really know what makes them tick. Little things about cultures in different countries, how, especially in communications, how certain things don't translate very well, maybe from a global point of view to say someone in the subcontinent or something like that. Things like Social Blue, really helpful. And we have things as well for finding subject matter experts, which are quite handy, like Atlas. It's there's a plethora of different things out there and around at the moment, and I think we're really just at the starting at the tip of the iceberg at the moment on where these are all going to go and what's going to develop in the next 10 years. That's really going to be an exciting time.